Good morning, everybody. Welcome to Wofford College virtually. We are so excited to have you this morning for our Discover Wofford event. My name is Katie Clevenger, and I'm one of the admission counselors here. And we also have another staff member, Mary Carmen Jordan, who is, her video's off, but she's going to be running tech for us and just answering some questions in the chat feature. So if y'all have any questions, be sure to put those in there. We might have some other people pop on throughout, but we're going to go ahead and kind of get started with some housekeeping slides. So I'm going to share my screen and we will begin. All right, so this is our very first Discover Wofford event virtually, so we're thrilled to have you all join us. So just on the front end for some housekeeping, make sure that you guys stay with your sound and your video off. This just helps us be able so you all can see me and then also see the presentation screen really well. And then just make sure, sorry, I gotta get my slides here. So keep those features off, and in the chat feature, be sure to ask your questions and then make sure that it's set to everyone so that everyone can see your questions and then we can answer through the chat as well. All right, so Wofford College, just a little fast facts about us. We're about 1,725 students. We have students that are representing about 37 states and 22 countries. So we have about 21 faith perspectives at Wofford, and then we're really close to that 50-50 male to female ratio. We are about 58 in-state, 42 out-of-state. We don't have a preference for in-state students versus out-of-state students. That's just usually how it runs, but we love our out-of-state students and our in-state students equally. We're about 20% non-white and international students, and then about 16% of our students are Pell eligible, with 15% also being first gen. So a little bit about what our first year profile is at Wofford. So kind of what our first year students are looking like. We had around 4,100 total applicants, and we accepted about 2,100 of those applications. So that's an acceptance rate about 53%. Close again to that 50-50 in-state versus out-of-state ratio. About 34% of our students were in the top 10% of our class, or of their class. We had 496 students join us. 221 of those are male, 253 were female, so close to that 50-50 ratio. And then about 17.7% are minority students this year, so we're thrilled to have those on campus. Our average high school GPA, about 3.70. And then we had just some cool facts about some of our incoming freshmen. 32 were editors. 50 students were student government leaders, so a lot of leadership seen in our first year. 88 were Pell eligible, 67 first gen, we had 140 legacies, and 95 student athletes. And then we had some students who were Gold or Eagle Scouts. We had several club presidents and a lot of team captains. So we are thrilled to have such a diverse group of first year students joining us, and we're excited for even more diversity in the coming years. We are a traditional liberal arts college. We're on the smaller side, about 1,750 students. What that looks like in the classroom is really about an average class size of 18. We do cap all of our classes at 25, so we don't have auditorium style classes and we don't do lecture halls at Wofford, so you're gonna see closer to that 17, 18 per class. Our student to faculty ratio is about 11-1. What this really means is you're gonna be much more than just a name on a roll sheet for your professors. They're gonna get to know you on a more personal level. It's not uncommon. A lot of our students end up becoming house sitters, dog sitters, babysitters for their professors. But that really just speaks to the relationships that they build in that really intimate classroom environment. We have about 67 programs and majors. Being a liberal arts college, some of our majors may seem like they're more broad, but you can kind of narrow down and make your own concentration. For example, you could be a bio major, but also on a pre-physical therapy or occupational therapy track. So you're taking those bio requirements, but you're also taking those exercise science and sport physiology classes. You have the flexibility to kind of create that your own path that's going to work for you with your career or path after Wofford. 90% of our faculty hold PhDs or terminal degrees, and then we do operate on a little bit different of a calendar system. So it's called a 4-1-4 calendar system. This is 4 traditional months in the fall. That's your regular semester, 4 months in the spring starting in February, but every January we have that 1 month that we call interim. Interim is a wonderful experience at Wofford. It's kind of a way for out-of-the-box thinking and learning, and hopefully an experience for our students they might not get during those other 2 semesters. So there's multiple ways that you can engage in interim. The first way that I always talk about is an on-campus interim. You come back to Wofford in January and you take 1 course, 3 hours a day, 5 days a week, and the rest of the time you're just hanging out, relaxing with your friends, catching up after the holidays, and kind of recharging before that February semester starts. Again, these are not your typical courses. You're going to be taking hopefully something fun, something exciting, and something that can maybe engage that out-of-the-box experience. Some examples we have are a fly fishing interim. We had one, a knitting and crocheting interim where a bunch of students on campus knit and crocheted some scarves and hats for a lot of our statues on campus, which was really cool to see as you walked around. We've had one called the Art of Dance where you learn different dance styles, including the South Carolina swing and shag. Again, you can see a lot of really cool options here and a lot of really fun things that you can do here on campus by coming back in January. Another way that you can also experience interim is off campus. So you can travel or go abroad for interim. This is a wonderful way if you think that you might not be ready for that full semester, or maybe you've never been abroad and you kind of want to test the waters in a more safe, condensed environment. A professor too takes a group of 10 to 15 students. They do the curriculum, they do the schedule, and so really you show up and go. There's not a lot of responsibility of the planning on your part like you would maybe for a full semester, and so you can really just take the time to see if abroad is something that you want to do. Or maybe you came back from a full semester and loved it so much and can't wait to go back for interim. Some interims we do an art tour through Europe. We have one called Old Asia versus New Asia, where you can go to Vietnam and Cambodia and compare and contrast the 2. We also have a marine biology interim where you get scuba certified here in Spartanburg, and then you get to go to the Caribbean scuba diving the rest of the time at a marine biology lab. So a lot of really cool options there, and it's a great way to experience abroad life kind of condensed into 1 month. Another way that you're able to do interim is through internships or observation hours. This is a wonderful way if you need those requirements for either graduate school or life after Wofford, if for the career field that you're going into. You can get that experience in this 1 month. So you don't have to worry about, oh, I get out of class at 3:30 and I have to be across town on my internship at 4. You can dedicate this full month to an internship or observation hours. You can come back to Spartanburg and we can get you connected with an internship or opportunity in our area. You can stay in your hometown if you have connections there that you really want to utilize. We also send students across the domestic United States as well as abroad for these internship opportunities. But it's a great way just to get that experience in and not really have to worry about your schedule or running around classes. Just a really great way to just focus on that. You can mix and match your interims. You can do all internships for every year, or you can kind of do this one and then go abroad and then go on campus. However you want to do it. You will take 4 interims throughout your time at Wofford. You will take one every single year. The last way to do interim is an independent study. So this we kind of call create your own interim. It's a wonderful way if there's a research opportunity that you really want to be involved in and maybe we don't offer it, or maybe a professor is engaging in a research project that you want to jump in and join them for the month. It's a great way to get the experience that you want, and even if we necessarily don't already have it. So you just pitch your idea to a faculty member and they kind of sponsor you. And then you just have to show that there's some kind of academic merit tied in. We have to see that you're going to be learning something throughout your time. But then you'll be able to go and have the interim experience that you want. One of my favorite examples is we had a student. She was a psychology major and loved the TV show Friends. And she watched the entire series, every single episode in the month of January. She, being a psychology major, she wrote a paper on how the show influenced gender roles in our society, and she presented that to her faculty member, got credit for Interim, and then her paper went on to be published. So she spent Interim watching her favorite TV show exactly the way she wanted, and then she was able to have a great resume booster with that paper. Our international program, so we are currently 8th in the nation for the percentage of students that study abroad. So that's why we always mention this, because it's a very popular thing at Wofford is to have that abroad experience. We have had students more than 200, or I'm sorry, we have more than 200 programs that you can choose from. And then we've had students in over 70 countries and on all 7 continents. We do have a partnership with National Geographic. A student was able to get that connection to study penguins in Antarctica. For me, that's way too cold, but if that's an experience you want, we're going to do our best to get it for you. We have over those 200 programs, and about 60% of those programs are the same price, if not cheaper than Wofford. So we kind of try to break the stigma of abroad means expensive. So 100% of your financial aid package is going to go with you abroad. So we truly say if you can afford to be on campus here at Wofford, you can definitely afford to go abroad. All of your merit scholarships, any federal or state funding that you're receiving, any scholarships that you're bringing to us, we're going to allow you to contribute those towards your abroad experience. And so it's really very financially doable, and we don't want that to be a hindrance on any of our students to not have an abroad experience. Also, 100% of your credits will transfer. So before you can sign up for anything abroad, you're going to have it all approved on the front end to make sure that you're staying on that 4-year track that we believe here at Wofford, and making sure that you're on track with your major, your minor, or if you're taking electives, that those fit in to keep you on that 4-year graduation track. Student life at Wofford. So we are going to have a student panel later, and they can definitely answer many more questions than I can about this. They are the experts at campus. They live it every single day. But I'm just going to hit on some key points here. So about 94% of our students live on campus all 4 years. This is not a requirement. You're not required to, but a lot of our students do, and it really contributes to that community and family feel that Wofford is so known for. The housing grows up with you, and I think this is a big part of it. It's kind of a goal to live each year in the next housing, so you're separated with housing wise based on your year. So all freshmen live together, all sophomores, all juniors, all seniors. Our senior housing is in the senior village, and it's modeled after Charleston row houses. If you can see in this little picture, that's a picture of our senior village. They have huge front porches with rocking chairs, and it's a beautiful spot on campus dedicated to just our seniors and a place for them to live apartment style on campus. So I think that's a big pull too why students stay. We do have over 100 clubs and organizations that students can join. I often see students who are, they're not limiting themselves to one activity. There's a huge range of activities and organizations that you can be a part in, and you can kind of jump all over campus and be involved and meet multiple people across those organizations. So there's a lot of great opportunities to be involved and stay involved here at Wofford. We are a Division I school in athletics, and so we're the 3rd smallest D1 school in the country. It creates a really cool environment on campus. You get that intimate, small classroom setting, but then you kind of get the big school spirit and sports around our sporting events and athletics. So it creates a really cool position on campus where you're not just going to see an athlete on the field or court. You're going to see your friend or your roommate or the person you eat with in our dining hall every day. Those connections with our athletes are really close to our other students. And so there's a lot of student support. All students get into our athletic events free with their ID. So you'll always be able to cheer on your fellow Terriers. The last thing I'm going to talk about is just Greek life. So we're about 50-50 Greek. 50% of our students are involved in Greek life. So if that's something that you're looking for, we are a spring rush school. So you'll have your first fall semester to decide if this is something you want, meet the members of those fraternities and sororities, and kind of see if this is an activity, an organization that you want to be a part of. If it is, again, 50% of our students are Greek, so there's a great community for it. If Greek life is not for you, that's completely okay. 50% of our students are non-Greek and engaging in those other 100 clubs and organizations that I mentioned earlier. So there's a lot of room to kind of find your place at Wofford, but so keep that community family feel and be connected with a bunch of the other clubs that we have. So this is a little bit about our application process. This is where definitely it's okay to ask questions. I know I'm going to throw out a lot of dates and numbers at you all, so let me know if I can answer anything. We do have 3 different application rounds. The first one being early decision. So this is our binding application round, and it's due November 1st. This is the round that you say, Wofford is my #1 choice, and I'm coming regardless of what my financial aid package says. So you say, you know, I'm going to go ahead and commit to Wofford, and if I'm admitted, I'm definitely coming. You don't get to see that financial aid package on the front end, and so you kind of make that commitment before. We do admit really high in this round, about 90%. So that's kind of the draw of it. But again, you are saying, you know, I'm going to come no matter what that financial aid package says. I understand for some families that this could be scary, or you want to kind of have those numbers and that information before you make your decision. And so that's when early action, I think, is a wonderful option for our students. It's November 15th, so just a little bit later. You still get that application in before the holidays, but you have plenty of time. You'll get your decision and your financial aid package back at the same time to make that really informed decision. See where Wofford fits in with your family's finances and see if we're a great option for you. Regular decision is our last round. I usually discourage this one simply because we are a smaller school. So by the time early decision and early action pass, we just have a lot less spots to fill for regular decision. So it does become our most competitive round. We admit about a little under 30% in this round. So it's a tougher admission process. And that's, again, just because we're a smaller school and we have less spots to fill. So how we evaluate applications, we definitely read holistically here at Wofford. If it's worth your time putting it on your application, it is worth our time reading it. So we're going to read every piece and part that you submit to us. The first thing we do is recalculate that GPA. So the average recalculated GPA was 3.7. What we do is we take your core academic courses, so math, science, history, English, and foreign language, and we put everything on a 4.0 scale except for AP and IB courses. Those get a 5-point bump. So everything on a 4.0 scale except AP and IB, and those go on a 5.0 scale. We do use your school's grading scale, so whatever you all have as an A, a B, a C, that's what we will use. The next thing we do is we look at course rigor. So instead of comparing one student to another, we kind of just compare you to your high school. So this is where we're going to see if you're challenging yourself kind of beyond that general education requirements. Are you taking honors courses? Are you taking those AP or IB courses? Does your school have a curriculum, a general curriculum that may be a little more rigorous than another school in your area? We're going to know all of this information and give you credit for anything that you are doing above and beyond. Again, there's just general high school requirements. So we give you points for all of those here. We do have an activity section. It's just through the Common App. And this is just a way for you to tell us what you're involved in outside of the classroom, what you're passionate about, what things are you really interested in. And so there's about 10 spots on the Common App, I believe. Don't feel like you have to fill out every single one of those spots. I don't want you to feel like you have to go rush out and have everything in a space. We just really want to see the few things that you're super involved in or that you really are passionate about, or a leadership position. Leadership looks wonderful here. So if you're a leader of a sports team, an academic team, or an academic club, definitely put that on here, as well as part-time jobs. Those are great too. A lot of my students don't think that they can put those on here, but that definitely shows maturity and responsibility outside of school. So definitely be sure to add those. We do require the Common App essay. So the same Common App prompts for maybe other schools that you're applying for, that's what we use as well. My biggest advice for your college essay is just, it's okay to brag on yourself. You all have accomplished a lot of great things in high school, and so we want to know about those things. You all have worked really hard and had a lot of achievements. We want to know these things. This is a section for me to get to know you better. If you are a creative writer and you want to submit a really creative piece to show me who you are, that's wonderful. If you are like me and not at all a creative writer, that is completely okay. You can use this to just tell me what you want me to know about you. Beyond all that quantitative information I'm going to get on the front end, just a great way for me to get to know you better. We are test optional. So this is, I think, going to be a big piece for a lot of you all this year, with test scores test dates being pushed back and study schedules being thrown off. We are test optional for both admission and and your merit scholarships. So you do not have to have a test score for either of those things. Our mid 50% ranges are listed here on this presentation. My best advice, if you fall in this mid 50%, or absolutely if you're above it, I would submit the score. It's going to impact your application positively. If you are below these mid 50% ranges, it's definitely up to you if you want to submit, but that may be where we can have that conversation and you can reach out to your counselor and we can talk you through this. Some students just prefer us not to see their score because they don't feel like it represents who they are as a student, and that is completely okay. I will say though, a test score will never negatively impact your application. We're not going to take points away if it's below this mid 50% or at a certain threshold. We don't have minimums. It's just we kind of move on, and it doesn't take any points away, so it's not going to impact it negatively. A test score can only impact your application positively. And then the last thing, letters of recommendation. These are optional. I think they're great if you want to submit them, but they are completely optional. A good rule of thumb, I think, is 2 to 3. If you want to submit 15 letters, we will read them, but I do think they get a little repetitive after about 3. So I think 2 to 3 is a great number. And then just kind of financial aid at Wofford and what that looks like. All students are considered for merit scholarships upon applying through the Common Application. So we are Common App exclusive, and once you hit submit on the Common Application, you're going to be considered for as much merit scholarship as we can give you based on that application. Over 90% of our students receive some form of financial aid, either merit, or grant money. And so we understand our sticker price may be higher, but we want to break into that as much as we can. We don't expect all of our students to pay that full price. We try to help as much as we can. Our average financial aid package for the 2019-2020 year was about $35,000. So again, we try to cut into that as much as we can, and that includes all sources of aids that students would bring in. And then our comprehensive cost for the 2021 year is, and this is kind of the all-inclusive price, what we say to attend our school at Wofford on campus is $61,440. So that's that all in what you would expect to pay on campus. And then I just want to mention a couple of the scholarship opportunities that we have. So you are going to be considered for that merit scholarship upon applying, but we also have some other opportunities. So Wofford Scholars is a wonderful program, and you can find out more about these through our website. If you just type in these keywords, you can find out more about them. Wofford Scholars is one of our more elite merit scholarship programs. Bonner Scholars is a service and civic engagement-based opportunity that's really great. It's a national program. And it's for students who are really involved in the community and looking to really stay engaged and work with leadership and teamwork throughout their time at Wofford. The Launch Scholarship, this is for those business-minded and entrepreneur-minded students. So students who maybe have that entrepreneurship kind of end goal or really interested in these opportunities, looking for innovation or looking to take ideas into product development and things like that. This is a wonderful opportunity through our Office of Innovation and Entrepreneurship. And then we do have performing arts scholarships all through the art department for different types of art that you can also stack with your merit scholarships. If you have questions about these, definitely reach out to us and ask. And there's also a lot of great information on our website about these as well. All right, we are going to start a student panel. So we have some wonderful students who are going to be joining us today. So we have Tatiana and Brady, and they're going to jump on here, introduce themselves, and they have a lot of great information to tell you guys, but they also just want to answer your questions and help you guys with this process as much as they can.
Okay, hi everyone. My name is Tatiana Adkins. I am a sophomore at Wofford, majoring in biology, thinking about picking up a concentration in neuroscience or going the medical humanities route. I'm from Charleston, South Carolina, which is about 3 hours from Wofford. And if you have any questions, just feel free to go ahead and ask the chat. We're here to help.
Hi, I'm Brady Wolf. I'm a sophomore from Chapin, South Carolina, which is right outside Columbia. I'm a double major in biology and religion while on the pre-med track.
So as y'all think of your questions, we're just going to give our why Woffords. So here we go. So I went to school at a really small high school. I graduated 64 students in my class, and I really appreciated the teacher and student relationship that I had. And I wanted to go to a small institution for my college. On the pre-med track, I felt as if having that advisor or my teacher relationship was really important. Getting that one-on-one was very important to me. And with that, I was looking into smaller colleges. I applied to about 8 different colleges all around. I feel like my furthest was in Texas. Knowing that I'm a homebody, that was kind of crazy for me to do, but I did it anyway. And I remember touring all of the colleges, and every time I went onto a new campus, I told my mom that that's where I wanted to be. That was my college. Wofford was actually the last college that I toured, and I went with my best friend, who's also now a Wofford Terrier, and it was on random Wednesday, and I remember pulling up, and they had my name on a parking spot. Out of all the 7 other colleges that I went to, that was the first time that someone had taken the initiative to actually welcome me there in that type of way, give me my own parking spot. And honestly, that just made me feel a lot different. I remember calling my mom and saying, "Hey mom, no, seriously, this is where I wanted to go." Of course, she was like, "No, Tot, like you say that about everything." But I brought her back. I brought my mom back. Well, I brought my mom back, my dad back, and my grandpa. One thing that stood out to me about Wofford is it felt like my home away from home. You might hear that at a lot of other schools, and I encourage you to go and visit and tour, because for me, I was a homebody, and coming to Wofford and feeling as if I knew the people around me, knowing that my professors could know my name, it's smaller atmosphere, smaller classes. I just felt like if I ever needed somebody to lean on, the community of Wofford was going to be there. And honestly, I have not regretted that decision at all. The second day that I was on campus, I remember walking, and my religions professor at the time, Dr. Dan Mathewson, shout out to him. He stopped me in the middle of me walking to Burwell, and he said, "Hey, Tatiana, we had a conversation." The second day, he knew my name. And it just made me feel at home. Now, you can get me started on the opportunities that Wofford has. I've been abroad already as a freshman. We can talk a little bit more about that if you have questions. As a pre-med student, there are so many different things. I've been to different admissions presentations for medical school, even as a freshman. Wofford has so many opportunities that I'm so excited to see where and what they have in store for me and what I can take advantage of. So you can go ahead, Brady.
That was beautiful, Tatiana. So for me, when I was looking at colleges, I knew I wanted to be pre-med. I've always kind of known I wanted to be a doctor. So at first, I'm a very logical person. So I looked at the institutions in South Carolina because I wanted to be in-state, that and like how their relationships, how they get students to the med school after undergrad. So Wofford had the highest per capita acceptance rate into med school. So I was like, okay, wait, that institution sounds pretty good for me. So then I toured on my spring break of my junior year. So instead of going to Florida, I went to 3 separate colleges in state. And when I got to Wofford, the huge thing that stood out to me and still stands out to me today is the community at Wofford. If you ever go on a tour at Wofford or get a lunch with the student at Wofford, you'll definitely hear about the community. Being a very small school, it's very easy to get to know people and to make connections, which is super important as you become an adult in life. As I'm learning, my dad always said, it's not about what you know, but who you know. So the small aspect of Wofford has already benefited me. It's led to, I had an internship over the summer with the MEDEX program in Greenville. I did a little summer research experience with regards to the hospital systems and how their chaplains are doing it during COVID. And it's led me to volunteer opportunities off campus at a free clinic. All these things were made possible because of how easy it was to connect to fellow students and faculty at Wofford at such a small school. I've benefited so much from that aspect. Like Tatiana said, it's hard for professors not to know your name by the second week of school, which at a larger institution, my friend goes to a very large one in state, and by the end of the semester, his professor didn't even know his name, which is terrifying to me. So I knew that going into Wofford, or going into college, I wanted to have a smaller school, a smaller community where I wouldn't necessarily slip through the cracks. I think I was scared of that as a high schooler. I didn't want to go to an institution where I might be a number, and Wofford, definitely, you can't be a number at Wofford. You can try, but you really can't. But yeah, and also building on the community aspect, everyone at the Wofford community is so kind. And like, you might think I'm lying, but like literally when I went on a tour, I brought my sister over a couple summers ago just to give her a tour of campus because she had never seen it. And when we walked in the admissions building, there wasn't anyone there but the maintenance lady, and she actually welcomed us, welcomed my sister, and gave my sister a free t-shirt. So literally the faculty, staff, students, everyone at the Wofford community is so kind and really just wants you to succeed, both at Wofford and in the future as well. So.
Thank you guys so much for those wonderful why Woffords. We are waiting on a couple questions. How about you all tell us about a favorite class that you all have taken at Wofford?
Okay, so I'm going to bring up that religions professor again. Brady was in my LLC, and if you want to know more about that, go ahead and ask the question, or you can look online. But basically, they put you in these like little groups, or you can apply to be in these groups and take 2 classes and basically kind of like learn. There's a theme to the classes, and our theme was it's kind of like intercultural enhancement, and like the class that I took was Newer Religions of the World with Dr. Dan Mathewson. Coming in as a pre-med major, I would have never thought that I would be taking a religions class, and let alone it being my favorite class. But I just remember reading Be Bold or Travel and not being able to put that book down, and going into class and having conversations with Dr. Mathewson, and just going back and forth. And not only was I able to have conversations with him in class, but I also saw him after class in his after hours, and I would just sit and talk about the book. He pushed me out of my comfort zone. We had to go and visit different religious like chapels and things like that for our assignments. It just took me out of my comfort zone, and it broadened my horizon of like what is out there, along with how other people think. So it's made me now I'm taking religion and medicine. So it has been a very big impact on my studies here at Wofford.
Yeah, so funny enough, that kind of was my favorite class as well. It actually made me want to be a religion major, which, just as like a background, I went to a public school and religion was never talked about. Like, we legally weren't allowed to talk about it. So I never even considered to study religion. I lived in a very homogenous community of like Protestants. And like, that was kind of it. So I never got exposed to different ways of meaning making. So that class inspired me to be a religion major. I'll talk about a different class because she already talked about that. But I also it was called Spiritual Autobiography. It was new last year with Dr. Jones, who's an amazing professor. And the cool thing about that class was we read 3 different individuals' religious autobiographies. And it was really cool how that class was set up, because usually when you think about learning something, you usually like you learn it objectively, and you get information presented to you on the topic. And religion is interesting in the sense that you can learn about it objectively, but also learn about individuals' experience of their own religion. So this class was perfect for that, because we read actual individuals' stories of their faith and their ways of meaning making. So that really, like Tatiana said, broadened my horizons and helped me realize that there's more to religion and more to learning overall than just like memorizing facts and understanding like the very superficial, objective aspects of certain things.
So I see that Caitlin has a question about our study abroad experiences. And yes, I have. I've been abroad. I guess the first time I studied abroad would be last Interim. And that's the January program I'm pretty sure that y'all have heard about. I wanted to do a medicine-based or health-based study abroad, and I was able to go to Amsterdam for 20 days. This was my first time out of the country. honestly by myself because it was not a faculty led. It was one of the partners. It was like a program partnered with Wofford, and I would not trade it for the world. I remember waking up every day, walking to like the central square in Amsterdam, in the Netherlands, guys. I was there, and just taking pictures of the same buildings because they were just so beautiful. And I studied public health, and I'm telling you, the Dutch have their public health together. It opened my eyes on how closed-minded maybe the South can be when it comes to public health, along with just taking different cultures and how they handle situations, and trying to bring it back to the United States. I would definitely say go abroad, and Wofford's interim program lets you kind of dip your feet in it. It's only 20 days, you'll come back, to even think about going and studying abroad for a semester. I know a lot of people that go to, I know some people that went to Sweden, they went to like snow dog sledding. Some people went to Israel, and Africa. Interim is a great time to have, like on Snapchat, you'll see just people all over the place. It is so cool.
Yeah, so I haven't studied abroad yet. But I can talk about so I set up a meeting last year just out of the blue to talk to the study abroad office. And so I can't talk about an experience abroad, but I can talk about how helpful these individuals were. I went just out of the blue, and when I got there, the lady who was helping me out marked all of the programs that were pre-med. And she talked about like the cost of all of them. She talked about how it would help me in med school, how I could talk about it in a med school interview, and how that experience could help me be a productive doctor in the future. Wofford really wants you to become a global citizen, and there's a lot of programs at Wofford and people at Wofford to help you, I guess, take the steps to become said global citizen. So although I haven't studied abroad yet, I have experienced the benefits of the Office of Study Abroad.
So the next question is if we have any club or intramural sports, and if students take part. So this is my area because I'm a Wofford cheerleader, and school spirit is something that I bleed. I am not a part of any intramural sports or clubs, but I know a lot of people that are. Again, back to what Brady was saying, we are a community, and with that, the athletes don't get special treatment here. And with that is they're staying in our dorms, they're going to class, they're eating in Burwell, they don't get separated. And with that, we are supporting our friends whenever you go to games and things like that. And a lot of the athletes that play football may also be on an intramural sport and play basketball. That is something big at Wofford. You'll see a lot of people like walking around in intramural like shirts and gear. I know that my roommate last semester was on the intramural volleyball team, and it's really nice to say, like, you don't have to have that commitment of a D1 sport and have to go to practice all the time, but that is a place that people go to have fun. There are a list of the sports that we have on our website for sure, but I'm pretty sure we have any and almost everything that you can think of. And it's competitive. It's cute to see everybody kind of, battle each other.
So I can talk about intramural club because I played intramurals. So I played intramural terry tag is what it's called. So it's basically flag football, which, to preface, I never played that in high school, so I wasn't very good. We didn't win, and I'm gonna pretend like it wasn't because of me. So I played terry tag. I played club or intramural soccer, and I didn't play intramural dodgeball, but that was a thing that I almost participated in. But it was super easy to set up a group. I think my group consisted of people in my like religious group on campus. And like we weren't the most athletically gifted individuals, but we still had so much fun. But I played soccer in high school. So when intramural soccer came around, it wasn't quite as competitive as I was used to and as I would have liked. So I actually joined the club soccer team, which at a bigger university, it's kind of like the club team is the JV to the actual team, which is the varsity. But at Wofford, it's not like that. It's more for fun. It's for people that want the athletic like rigor of a competitive sport, but also like none of us are trying to get on the team, but we still play other teams throughout the region. So we played ETSU last year. Like we traveled to ETSU, which was really cool because I'd never been there, and the club soccer team led me to an experience that I wouldn't have had before. I thought it was cool seeing where other people study. But yeah, so I guess intramurals are for fun, and then club sports are still for fun, but they're more competitive in that sense.
All right, so our next question is from Jack, and he's asking about Greek life, the party scene. And I don't know if you've been to Wofford, Jack, or anything, but we do have non-residential houses on Wofford's campus, which just means that those houses are there for their formals and their meetings. Again, everybody at Wofford is put together. Nobody is separated. You will live in the same dorm as people who are in Greek life. Something different about Wofford is that we have a spring rush, meaning that you're gonna come to campus, you're gonna learn what college life is about for the first semester, you're gonna make your friends, get used to the rigor, the homework and things like that before you decide to rush. And of course, during that first semester, you can start thinking about where you might want to rush. You can talk to some people that are in Greek life and things like that. But a large percentage of our students are affiliated with Greek life. The houses are really nice. If you haven't been to Wofford, I'm gonna tell you, come on a tour. You'll get to see like the outside of them, or you can go online and just look and see. But Brady, did you want to talk anything more about them?
Yeah, so I'm not affiliated with a Greek organization. But to talk about the spring rush, I think that was super beneficial, not just for those wanting to be Greek, but also for those not wanting to be Greek. I think the fact that the spring rush allows you to set up your friend groups, it really helps me be okay in the fact that I didn't want to rush, because Wofford is 50-50. So I was able to establish really solid friends at Wofford, and then a lot of my friends did rush and joined fraternities and sororities, but that didn't pull them away from me or pull them from a relationship away from me. I think we're still great friends. We still are friends this year as well. And I feel like at a bigger institution, I wouldn't have been able to meet people like that because they would have already had their group of friends in that fraternity or sorority. So yeah, in that sense, I'm very grateful for the spring rush, and it's beneficial to those who don't rush as well.
All right, thank you guys so much. Thank you, Tatiana, and thank you, Brady, and thank you for all of our wonderful questions. We were thrilled to have you guys join us for our Discover Wofford, and please let us know if you all have any questions that we can answer. Reach out to your admission counselor. We're more than happy to help in any way, as well as our current students. We have a platform on our admission page on wofford.edu where you can reach out to current students and ask them questions through our Welcome to College. So definitely let us know how we can help. We are excited to have you join us on this Saturday, and go enjoy your weekends.